I wanted to get to this before we wrapped up this podcast, and it was something that my wife and I actually stumbled upon this during dinner. Sometimes during dinner, we'll watch a TV show or watch a movie or something like that. And other
Oh,
nights we just don't feel like
you
it.
don't like
What?
sit down and actually talk like
No, we're
like
already been married for like 3 months, so there's nothing you could possibly want to talk about. So it's just
gotcha.
no.
Okay. Gotcha.
Um, we
All right.
stumbled across this video. Um, this was a speech or like an ending radio segment from Paul Harvey, who was a radio personality. I'm assuming um, he ran for about 20 years, but this is from 1965. So keep in mind, this transcript that
Okay.
I'm going to read to you, he said this on the air in 1965, and it's quite frightening how realistic this is and how accurate it is today. I was listening to this and I was almost in tears. Like it was so real and so emotionally powerful to me that somebody almost 60 plus years ago could understand all this. So the
Okay.
title of it is If I Were the Devil. That is the title of the speech. And it starts, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness. And I'd have a third of its real estate and four-fifths of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers with the wisdom of a serpent. I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is only a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old, I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And
Hmm.
then I get organized. I'd educate authors on how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction, and I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect discipline emotion. Just let those run wild until before you know it, you'd have to have drug sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every school door. Within a
Hmm.
decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting adult entertainment. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing children and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbols of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what do you bet I could get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich? I would caution against extremes in hard work and patriotism and moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on the TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's been doing. End.
Hmm. And that was in 1960 something.
1965.
If you read that to somebody, there would be no like even to me, even though I know that that's from the 60s, that still sounds like there's no way that could be from the 60s because it's so
Too
perfect.
accurate. It's too
Right.
accurate. Like, I mean,
Interesting.
I was complete. Like I said, I was almost in tears because it was so accurate. It was like someone knew this was happening, and no one
Right.
like this is
See,
word for word.
I've seen little things, not like that, but I mean, like, hold on, let me see if I can find. I saw this thing on maybe Facebook, and it was like this old time thing from this book of the 1800s,
Hmm.
that predicted it sounded like COVID.
Nostradamus. I think that's earlier than 1800s. He said
Yeah, okay.
a person will a woman will come from the east and plague the west or something like that.
Let's see, I'm gonna find it now.
Yeah,
I spelled Nostradamus.
I think it's phonetic.
Oh, is this it? Hold on.
See, I think I found something.
I spelled Nostradamus. Jeez, I can't spell. Keeps telling me that it looks like there aren't many great matches for your search. You're telling me you give me 35,000 matches in 0.02 seconds and you can't find one thing that is
They don't
somewhat close
want
to
you to
this?
find it. They don't want you. This is censorship.
I'm gonna find this. Oh, here we go. Hold on. There will be a twin year from which will rise a queen who will come from the east and who will spread a plague in the darkness of night on a country with 7 hills and will transform the twilight of men into dust to destroy and ruin the world. It will be the end of the world economy as you know it. Is that the one you found?
And that's what was circulating around social media.
Yeah. There's also one that I saw. I don't think it was the same thing, but it was something like a disease will plague the world and will be run by a fool, which people think is Biden
Yeah.
as the one. But
Yeah.
I don't even know what I saw that one on. I don't even know if that's accurate, but who knows? But it's
Yeah.
just funny because it was written in the 30s and
Uh-huh.
it's so new, you know.
I just, when I read this transcript, I'm still looking at it from Paul Harvey. So many things are 100% correct. I think the scariest part for me is when he said, if I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war, churches at war, and nations at war.
Yeah,
And then the next line is, and with the promise of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. Could that be any like more accurate than these last 5, 6 years in America?
yeah. I mean, what's the other thing he said? Say that. Say that one. What did he say about when he said about churches and like priests who will
Oh
use their
yeah,
power to, and
yeah.
that's
I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money.
yeah, yeah.
How did he know that? Like
Right.
that's
That's what I mean. It's very it again, it sounds too
yeah.
close to say that they weren't it wasn't written only a couple years ago. Like,
Yep.
again, if you said this is written, if you read that to me, I would think, okay, so you found that off of some article
Yep.
last year.
Or, yeah.
It was written in the 60s. I mean, there'd be no way.
Yeah.
So
I just you,
interesting.
I think everyone in America should read this seriously. And it's not, I don't even think it's a political thing. I think this just shows you the decay of the society. It's
Yeah, I mean, when you map it out like that, and it's detail by detail, yeah, it's really hard pressed to that you wouldn't find somebody that would kind of say not take a step back and
mhm.
take a look at everything. So interesting.